Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about iTEP reading exam. First of all, let's talk about the structure of the exam. The reading section of the iTEP exam consists of two or more passages, mostly two passages. You're supposed to answer questions, multiple choice questions after those reading texts. If you're taking the academic one or the business one, doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the plus, of course. You will have two reading passages, and the first one is easier than the second passage. In the first passage, you will have a text about 250 words, and the second passage is almost around 450 words. As I said before, the second one is a bit more difficult than the previous one. Okay, in part one, you will answer 4 multiple choice questions, and in the second part, you're supposed to answer 6 multiple choice questions. All right, let's talk about the question types now. There are 5 different question types in reading exam in iTEP. First of all, you're supposed to answer some questions about main idea. The other one is catching details. The third one is vocabulary question and synthesis question and the sequencing questions. And now we're going to talk about what they really mean. But before that, it's better to learn how to approach a text before we answer the questions. First, what you should do is to interview with the passage. What does that mean? First, while reading or after reading the question, you should be answering those questions. What is the passage about? Who or what is mentioned in the text? Is there a problem? Is there an issue or a change in the passage? So you should be active while reading. Active reading is really important. Otherwise, it could be difficult to understand the text. There are also some other reading strategies. For example, it is sometimes you need to scan the text for some certain information, or in order to understand the whole passage and get an outlook about the text is to skim the text. But now, for all of them, you should keep in mind that while reading a text, you need to be active. You should make some interview with the passage. Okay. So let's start with the first question type, the main idea. First of all, the questions are going to be like that. Which of the following best suppose the main idea of the passage? This is the question type you will get in the exam. It's easier to spot wrong. Meanwhile, keep in mind, it's not only for reading, for all types of questions, it's always easier to spot the wrong answers than the right ones because there are always 4 wrong answers and just 1 right answer. So look for wrong answers and eliminate them first using the process of elimination. That's really important. For the questions about main idea, wrong answers will usually do one of the following 2 things. First, they focus too narrowly, only one part of the passage. Although they are correct statements, since they focus only one part of the text, those are not the correct answers. That's why we are looking for what? Broader ones, the ones that cover all the things of the text. The other thing that you should be careful about finding the wrong answers is that the sentences are the options that contradict the information in the passage. So if the option is too narrow, or if the option contradicts with the ideas given in the text, they are not correct. That's why you can easily eliminate them. Then you can find the correct answer. When we come to the catching details questions, what you need to do is, again, to eliminate the wrong answers, first of all. The question type is going to be, according to the passage, what is one reason that, for example, for the text that's given, that mice make good pets? So, in this kind of question, maybe it's better to find some kind of keywords and scan the text for this kind of information. Okay. The other question type is vocabulary question. For vocabulary question, keep in mind that you might be asked about some specific words or phrases. The questions ask how these words are used in the passage. So even if you are asked about words which you are not very familiar, you can still try to find the correct answers based on the context of how they're used in the passage. For example, look at the example given. As used in the passage, the word pests means unwanted creatures, cuddly pets, invited guests, predatory animals. So when you look at the text, the correct answer is going to be A, because the pests are described as coming into people's homes and causing damage. So that's the best description for this question is A. When we look at the synthesis questions, so far you have taken a quick look at the question about the main idea, catching the details, and vocabulary. These are three question types that are straightforward and simple to grasp. To find the answers, you basically just need to follow the directions in each question. Find the main idea or the details. The last two types of questions, the sequencing and synthesis questions, require a little more analysis and skill. For example, synthesis questions ask you to make an association or an inference sometimes based on information in the passage. So, unlike with the detailed questions, the correct responses may contain information that is not directly stated in the passage, but that is implied. So, you should make some inferences. Look at the question type. According to the passage, what does the author think is important when considering pets for children? So in this question, B is the right and the correct answer. Although the passage does not directly make a statement about all pets, it does imply that mice can make good pets because they do not require great care. Using process of elimination, you can eliminate A because the author doesn't make any reference to support that idea. While the author mentions reptiles, he doesn't state or imply anything about how they would be as pets. Okay, when we look at the last type of the question, it is sequencing questions. The questions simply ask that you insert a sentence into a paragraph in the passage. You will be given 4 options in the paragraph, and you must choose which place would fit best based on the information, of course, in the sentence you are adding. This is called sequencing because it requires you to assess where in the sequence of points in the paragraph the sentence would fit best. Okay, look at the question here. At which point, marked by 4 letters A, B, C, or D, would the following sentence best fit or added to the passage? Look at the sentence given. It is true that they're sometimes troublesome and destructive. So what you need to do is to locate the best place for this sentence. When you add this sentence, the meaning shouldn't change and it should complete the missing part of the text. So when you look at this text, the correct answer is going to be A. The information contained in the inserted sentence acknowledges some negative qualities of mice. So it is a continuation of the idea presented early in the passage. However, it's also this statement also indicates that there may be a contrasting idea to follow.